Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach with another actionable tip so you can sound like a pro and gain more podcast fans. Today's tip is all about the reset. What is a reset? Think about it. You're probably not that far off. A reset is used in the middle of a podcast, and I think you should use it. It's not a reboot, just a reset. So it doesn't mean starting from the beginning. Think of it more like as a reintroduction of your topic and or guest. The reset doesn't get used very often in podcasts, and that means podcasters are missing out on a really useful tool. In the world of radio and TV, you probably have heard the phrase, if you're just joining us.
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 That's a reset, or at least the beginning of a reset. The presenter is using this tool to often change direction of the conversation or regain control of the show. From there, they can refocus on the topic. How many times have you tuned into the radio mid-conversation between two or more people? You have no context, no reference. You're playing catch-up. The reset welcomes anyone new and brings them up to speed on the topic and their guests. Now I know what you're thinking.
Hey, coachy. But the podcast listener has been listening for the entire podcast already and is listening from the beginning.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about your podcast, the greatest podcast of them all. I could never get distracted during your podcast, not with all the driving, the laundry, walking the dog, the running, the paddling, the getting groceries, the cooking, the painting, the fence, etc., 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 etc. Come on. People get distracted. They're doing things when they're listening to your podcast. And you know what? Great podcasts get people thinking. They're designed to. Ideas they hear on your podcast will have them thinking to reshape their entire lives if it's great. For example, what do successful entrepreneurs accomplish before 7 a.m.? Well, now you've got them thinking, maybe I should start every morning an hour earlier than anyone else in the house. That way I can get my meditation time in and my 30 minutes of exercise. Then I can make my to-do list, make a few phone calls, and by then my wife should be up, and that'll be a good time to make the coffee. Still leaves time to let the dog out before the kids get up. I can make their lunches, get a couple of webinars in, all my social media done, and next thing you know, I'm presenting in front of the record scratch. A perfect metaphor for the reset. Stop everything, and let's get back on track. You're listening to Just the Tip. I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach, and today we're talking about the reset. We've discussed what it is, so let's talk about when to use it. Everybody likes a good talking guest, but when you and your guest get off topic, they become a little overbearing and maybe too promotional. That's when you can pull out your reset. It's the perfect tool to get back on track. You can also use it to transition from one topic to another. Say you're talking about how businesses use Facebook. Reset before you get into how businesses can use Twitter. It's also really useful to help transition in and out of sponsorships, if you're lucky enough to have one. But I'll talk about sponsor mentions and in-show ads in a future podcast. Now, here's how to use a reset with a guest. Use it right out of one of their comments or answers and go directly to it. And you could use this opportunity to name your show again if you wanted to. So again, as soon as they've finished, you're listening to The Itchy Traveler. I'm Tim Wahlberg, and today we're talking with Globetrotter and author Jackie Valentine about the best ways to travel the world on a budget. Jackie, let's talk about accommodation. There's the reset. Have your reset written down beforehand. It only takes a minute. If your podcast is more than 20 minutes, I feel you should use a reset at least once during your show. If you're doing a solo show, you really shouldn't need to do this because if you get off topic, you can either bring yourself back or edit it out in post, as in post-production. The reset is also a great tool for you to get refocused again on your listener. Your listener came for the takeaway, remember. Get you and your guest back on track to deliver what you promised. Now you know what a reset is. Now you know when to use it and how to execute it. Use the reset to get back on track and stay focused on who you're talking to, the listener. Even your guest will think you sound like a pro. And I hope that's just the tip you need. Like these tips? There's more in my tips letter. Sign up for it and get tips you haven't heard on these podcasts. Let's start making your podcast better each time you hit record. Sign up at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wolbert. See ya!